88-year-old Jack Nicholson has seen it all in the reincarnation of Hollywood, from the hazy sound stages of the 1960s to the digital dynasties of the 21st century. Born John Joseph Nicholson on April 22, 1937, in Neptune City, New Jersey, his early life was shrouded in mystery and tenacity. He was brought up by his grandmother, having been told she was his mother and that his real mother, June Nicholson, was his older sister. This appalling revelation, only later made to him in 1974 by a Time magazine journalist, left a lasting psychological mark on him. It conditioned the emotional depth and richness to become his signature as an actor. Growing up with no idea of his real parentage, Jack adopted a defiant edge and emotional depth that would characterize his performances for the next several decades. Nicholson's path to stardom was far from smooth. Having relocated to California, he started working in the MGM animation department, drawing for Hanna-Barbera before he finally understood that his passion was acting. He worked doggedly, scoring small TV and movie appearances during the 1950s and 1960s, frequently showing up in cheap Roger Corman productions such as The Crybaby Killer, 1958, and The Raven, 1963. While mostly unknown during that period, they provided him with important experience and sharpened his unafraid attitude to the craft. His break came in 1969 with Easy Rider. As the alcoholic attorney George Hansen, Nicholson received his first Academy Award nomination and introduced audiences to his combination of rebellion, wit, and vulnerability. The 1970s cemented his legendary status. Movies such as Five Easy Pieces, 1970, and The Last Detail, 1973, displayed his raw emotional intelligence, while Chinatown, 1974, ensconced him as the troubled detective Jake Sheet. Then One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, 1975, where his Randall McMurphy earned his first Oscar for Best Actor and cemented his place as one of the legends of cinema. The 1980s and 1990s were testament to Nicholson's versatility. His Jack Torrance in Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, 1980, was one of the most terrifying acting performances ever. Here's Johnny, still resonating within pop culture. Later, as the Joker in Tim Burton's Batman, 1989, he inserted a theatrical, maniacal flair into the character. The 1990s continued to demonstrate his versatility, with award-winning performances in A Few Good Men, 1992, and As Good as It Gets, 1997, the latter securing his third Oscar. Into the 2000s, he appeared in About Schmidt, 2002, Anger Management, 2003, and The Departed, 2006. For which his performance as Frank Costello brought another Golden Globe nomination. His last screen role was in Asterisk, How Do You Know? Asterisk 2010, co-starring Reese Witherspoon. Off-camera, Nicholson's life was as legend-filled. His union with actress Sandra Knight is one of the lesser discussed, but influential aspects of his existence. The two met in the late 1950s, both of them struggling actors pursuing the same Hollywood dream. They wed in 1962 and had a daughter, Jennifer Nicholson, in 1963. The relationship gave Nicholson much-needed stability during his tumultuous early years, though as his ambition and fame increased, the marriage strained. By 1968, the couple divorced peacefully, each of them grateful for that period of their lives, for what it had contributed to their existence. Now at 88, Jack Nicholson no longer plays by Hollywood's rules. He simply speaks his truth. Known for his sharp wit and volcanic presence, Nicholson has seen the best and worst of the industry. Recently, in a private conversation that circulated through industry circles, he reportedly revealed the 6 actors he hated working with the most. "I'm too old to pretend," he said with a wry grin. "I've had the time of my life in this business, but there were some people who made it hell." The first name he called was Val Kilmer, whom he met in the 1990s. Val was talented, no question, Nicholson conceded, but he believed every set was all about him. It's hard to work with somebody who doesn't remember that movie making is a collaborative process. Although Nicholson admired Kilmer's work ethic, he was exhausted by his perfectionism and moodiness. He was trying to prove something minute by minute. Nicholson was quoted as saying, "That sort of energy exhausts you." Another performer he discussed was Shia LaBeouf, a symbol of Hollywood's next generation of younger, more disordered types. "Shia's got raw energy," Nicholson opined. But he's reckless. He confuses chaos with creativity. For Nicholson, who had spent decades honing the tricky balance between spontaneity and control, LaBeouf was the embodiment of what he perceived as Hollywood's slide into narcissism. Through every triumph and every feud, Jack Nicholson remains a singular force, a man who never compromised his art, even when it cost him allies. His career, built on honesty, intensity, and rebellion, stands as one of the most enduring legacies in cinema history. For Jack Nicholson, discipline was everything. "You can be wild," he said, "but you've got to know when to pull back." That's the difference between a performance and a meltdown. At 88, he's speaking from the perspective of a man who has watched it all, from the free-spirited excess of new Hollywood to today's precision industry. His commentary is less about resentments and more about observing what makes collaboration succeed or crash. The third actor on Nicholson's list was Tommy Lee Jones, a man as intense and hard-edged as Nicholson himself. "Tommy's one of the smartest guys you'll ever meet," Nicholson admitted, "but he's got no patience for anyone else's method." On set, he recalled, Jones' curt attitude and dismissive tone often created tension. "He doesn't talk. He just growls," Nicholson said. "I like a little electricity on set, but not hostility. Tommy takes himself too seriously, and that's dangerous in a business already full of egos." Nicholson also brought up Russell Crowe, another powerhouse performer with a reputation for volatility. "Russell's got the heart of a gladiator," Nicholson said with a smirk, "but he fights too many battles that don't need fighting." He admired Crowe's talent, but was critical of his off-screen temper. "He's fantastic when the camera's on him, but in between shots, it's like strolling through a minefield. You never know when he'll blow his top." Nicholson, who has witnessed dozens of stars come-go, feels that such unpredictability tends to burn up greatness all too early. One of the more surprising calls on Nicholson's list was Jim Carrey, a stand-up comedian from an entirely different school of acting. "Jim's a genius in his own way," Nicholson acknowledged, "but he doesn't know when to quit. Comedy requires rhythm. He just projects everything at the wall." Nicholson disliked Carrey's relentless improvising, saying it was chaotic and distracting. "He's like a cartoon character who crawled out of the screen," Nicholson said. "It's humorous for a minute, then you wonder if he even knows there's a script." Their contrast in styles, Carrey's spontaneous manic energy and Nicholson's deliberate intensity, made it almost impossible to work with each other. Eventually, Nicholson dropped a bombshell name that even his best friends were shocked by: Dustin Hoffman. Both actors, belonging to the 1970s New Hollywood crop, were frequently likened as kindred spirits. But Nicholson indicated that he never had any fun working with Hoffman. "Dustin's always been too involved in the process," Nicholson said. "He'll rehearse the life out of a scene. Me, I prefer to catch the lightning. Once it's gone, it's gone. Dustin wants to bottle it, label it, and dissect it." Although Nicholson admired Hoffman's talent, he regarded his method as mechanical. "He's one of the best, no question," Nicholson went on, "but we're constructed differently. He requires control. I require freedom. That's water and oil." As the interview concluded, Nicholson looked back on his long legendary career and what he had learned about collaboration. "You don't need to love everyone you work with," he said, "but you should at least respect the craft." Though unflattering in his language, there was no venom, only the unvarnished common sense of a man who has spent a lifetime in front of a lens. "I've had my feuds, sure," Nicholson finished up, "but I've also had my scenes with legends. You learn more from the ones who make you reach, even if you despise them for it." Now, as he enjoys his quiet retirement in Los Angeles, rarely making public appearances, Jack Nicholson remains unapologetically himself, mischievous, honest, and forever unpredictable. His list of hated co-stars may sound harsh, but it reflects a man whose standards were forged by decades of artistic passion. "You can call it hate," Nicholson said with a grin. "I call it honesty. And at 88, I've earned the right to be honest." At this point in his life, Nicholson has nothing to prove. He's not concerned with burning bridges or offending egos. In an era of diplomacy mania, Jack is raw and real, as he always has been. You get to the place in life, he told us, where you quit pretending to enjoy people who make the work rotten. I've gotten to that place, and I'm enjoying myself. He's witnessed the ascensions and declines of legends, the creation and demolition of stars. And at 88, Jack Nicholson reminds Hollywood that honesty is the most elusive performance of all. Subscribe to Behind the Frame for more secrets from behind the Hollywood veil. The rivalries, the regrets, and the secrets the stars never wanted you to hear.